NIC Bank has been growing very, very fast in the last 5-7 years. And because of that growth, we realized that we required to sustain the momentum. And to sustain the momentum, we required to recapitalize. In 2007, the bank went to the shareholders for a rights issue, which then was about 1.2 billion. Now, since then, the bank has grown tremendously. For example, that time our asset base was about 35 billion. Today we are about 90 billion with the same capital which we were given some 5 years ago. Lending was about 22 billion, now it's about 62 billion. So to be able to sustain the momentum, we require to make sure that our capital base is commensurate with those plans. Hence, we are coming back now. We are very confident that our shareholders look at the long-term prospects of the bank. So despite the fact that with this election year, we still believe that they'll come back for the support, to support us. If you go by history, last time it was about 48% oversubscribed. And that was 2007, which was just actually coincidentally election year as well. Now, this will be not different because out of the total shareholding of about 25,000 shareholders on the register, we got very committed shareholders. And I think because they can see what the bank has done in terms of growth, profitability last year, we reported about 3.6 billion, which was 10 times what we reported about 7 years ago. So because of that, I think they'll see the need to make sure they remain on the register, and I think they will take up their shares. So we are confident. I think in terms of mergers acquisitions, our focus was very much regional. In 2009, we went to Tanzania and acquired what was then called Savings and Finance Commercial Bank, which then was rebranded NIC Bank, Tanzania. Now, this year, we're going to Uganda and invested about $11 million to set up a new company, new bank called NC Bank Uganda. Now, obviously, those are major milestones because until recently, NIC was just in Kenya. And we believe that after we consolidate those achievements, then we can look at other opportunities elsewhere. One thing we realized is that in terms of competitive, if you like, environment in this country, success will be determined by the banks which do well in retail because the cost of money is very high. If you look, for example, recently we had deposits, depositors asking for about 20-25% in deposits. And what you need to do is to get a very big portfolio of depositors to be able to mitigate that. Now, to do that, you require a branch network across the country. 7 years ago, we had about just 6 or 7 branches, but we have managed to invest, and now we've got about 19 branches across the country. Ours is very much a business bank, so we actually go to areas where our business partners, have invested. So to enhance that strategy, we require to go deeper into the country. Now, we recently signed a partnership with Postbank to be able to access their 94 branches countrywide. And so without having to put brick and mortar, we believe it will be able to access, customers, potential customers in all corners of this country. It's not in anybody's interest, least that of bankers, to have high interest rates because we depend on customers borrowing money from us. We are intermediaries of the financial system. So if the rates are high, nobody's borrowing money, and therefore we have nothing to do. The reason why it did not come down as fast as it should have been is because, when the rates were very high, depositors were fixing deposit rates for very long periods, 6 months, 12 months. So when CBK, revises the CBR downwards, I think people expect us to do it overnight. But you see, our depositors are still stuck with those high rates. But we are very keen as those deposits mature to basically replace them downwards and then pass that benefit to our borrowing customers. We got election coming up. But we are saying that maybe what happened previously in 0708 was a blessing in disguise because Kenyans have learned their lesson, and therefore we expect the situation to be a lot more predictable compared to the past. For us, we know we are going there for the long term. That's why we do not look at election periods and decide whether we're going to invest or not. Last time we asked for the rights issue, it was election period, it was oversubscribed. This time, election year as well. We are going back to the shareholders because we believe we're looking at the long term. NIC is 53 years, and so we are not looking at a sprint, we are looking at a marathon in terms of business.